How's it going? It's Nathan Hawken and welcome to the video. I'm about to tell you something that will probably piss off every other goal setting coach that's out there. Your goals are probably wrong and chasing them is keeping you stuck. Look, everyone's got their goals. Build a six-figure business, find a perfect work-life balance, scale your team, get more clients. They're clear, they're specific, and they're measurable. And a lot of the time, completely missing the point. Everyone says that you need to set clear goals, that you need to get specific about what you want, that you have to work towards them with focus and discipline. I mean, that's what good coaches do, right? They help you clarify your goals and hold you accountable to those goals. What I've learned from over a decade worth of coaching and working with high-performing clients from an array of different industries and fields. Your goal is never the real goal, and your problem is never the real problem. What you think you want is almost always a surface level distraction from what you actually want. So I think it's time to stop chasing your goals and start finding what you're really after. Now, this really matters because there's a cost to you that almost no one ever talks about. People can spend years chasing the wrong goals, building a business that they don't actually want, pursuing freedom that they can't enjoy when they'll actually get it, or fixing teams that aren't the real issue. You're chasing the wrong goals and then suddenly you're 5 years older with different problems but the same underlying pattern. And you know who loves this? The goal setting industry, of course. Business coaches, productivity gurus, accountability programs, and accountability partners. They can keep you busy achieving things without ever addressing what's actually driving you there. And I see it as a very profitable distraction because it is profitable. So let me show you what I mean with some real examples. A client comes to me after we've been speaking for a while saying that she wants to build freedom through her network marketing business that she started. That was her goal. It was clear, it was specific, it was actionable. We did an intensive session over a number of hours and it turns out she didn't want to do network marketing at all. She wanted to serve people directly as a coach. The goal for her was completely wrong. Today, she's a coach. She's coaching clients. She's coaching a full board of directors. And that's where she ended up when she found out what she actually wanted. Another example, another client I was coaching. His goal was to find happiness and acceptance in all of his personal choices. That sounds reasonable, right? Yeah, it does. It sounds very warm and fuzzy. But that was the surface level problem. We dug deeper. And it wasn't about acceptance. It was all about self-love, how he felt about himself. He didn't need to accept his life, he needed to change it. But he couldn't let himself want that. I had another client in the US told me that her problem was procrastination and fear about making sales in her business. The goal was to overcome the limiting beliefs and start taking action. And she'd spent months on that with other coaches, but we unpacked it properly. Everything, the procrastination, the sales anxiety, the working herself to burnout, the eating poorly, all of it. It all came down to self-love. Not her business goals, but self-love. When she realized that, everything changed. I mean, everything changed. Same pattern, but a different costume. I'd say the majority of the clients I've ever worked with have that exact same pattern, or at least a very similar one. Every single time someone comes to me with a clear, specific goal, I know we're looking at the surface. And thinking about it now, not one of them has ever had the real issue be what they said it was. It's always underneath. Network marketing actually wants to coach people directly. Need more clients? Actually doesn't love themselves enough to charge properly. Team problems? Actually fear of how they're being perceived as a leader. Work-life balance? Actually don't know what they actually want. I see this because I use perception as projection constantly. I catch myself running the same patterns. I mean, I'm not immune to it. I'm a human being. But I see the same patterns in myself that I help my clients with. The awareness is a big part of the work. And I'll tell you this, show me someone who's been chasing the same goal for years with no satisfaction, and I'll show you someone who's avoiding the real issue that lies underneath every single time. So what do I do instead? In the first session, I don't actually help you work towards your goal. I challenge whether the goal is even real. I'll ask something like, well, what's the purpose of this goal? What will achieving it really give you? And more importantly, what are you actually after? Then I'll unpack and I'll unpack and I'll unpack. I try and reach into my coaching toolbox and use whatever I can from my NLP training, from timeline therapy pattern work, from my own experience, deep questioning, accessing the unconscious mind to find out what's actually running the show there. Sometimes I'll just call it out and say, you know what, this is bullshit, right? This is just that same story. What's the purpose? What's this story doing for you? What's its purpose? Now, this is significantly harder than just having a coach say, oh, that's a great goal. Let's do it. Let's make a plan. Because yeah, it's uncomfortable as hell. It can be tough. You've got to sit in that uncomfortable silence and find out what's actually going on and what you actually want. Because a client will come to me because they want help achieving their goal, which is great. And I'm there questioning whether the goal is even valid. They wanted support when I'm actually giving a very strategic confrontation. Because it's easy to spend 6 months working towards something that is never really going to satisfy you anyway. But when you're going through a process like this and you're actually getting challenged on your goals and your thinking, things change. A client will discover what they actually want. For what's usually the first time, they'll discover what they actually want, not what they think they want. Not what sounds good to other people, but what they actually need. The number of times I used to set goals for myself and I was like, oh, I want to be a 7-figure coach, or I want to make 6 figures, or I want to build this empire. I realized that I was just taking on the goals that I was hearing from other people. I had to stop and really think about, what do I actually need? And more importantly, what do I actually want? And once you know that, once you discover that, everything shifts. The right actions become obvious then. The motivation becomes real and you don't have to try and find your motivation every day. And the transformation is fast. So with all that in mind, I want to challenge you with something, because that's what I do. I like to challenge you. Here's what I want you to do. Whatever your current goal is right now, whatever goal you've got set in front of you, I want you to just forget about it for a minute. Don't work towards it. Don't plan it. Don't even try and visualize it. Dig deeper. Ask yourself, what's the purpose of this goal? Then ask yourself, what will achieving it give me? Then ask yourself, what do I actually want? And what do I really want? Lastly, but kind of not lastly, ask yourself, what happens after that? What's next? And you keep going until you find out what's actually underneath. A lot of the times you're going to try and let yourself off the hook at this stage. And you'll be like, I don't know. I don't know what's next. When a client says to me, I don't know, I recognize that that's just a stall. They do know, just like you know. You just have to dig deeper. And I'll usually say something to my clients like, I know you don't know, but if you did know, what would you say? That bypasses that stall and that blockage. Because that's the blockage that might be uncomfortable to think about. Because there'll be something on the other side that if you were to get it, change the world. Whatever it may be, if you were to get it, it's a scary thought to think about. That's why you have to bypass those blockages and you have to get around them. So you keep asking, what's next, until you get your answer. It's probably going to be uncomfortable. In fact, yeah, it will be uncomfortable. You actually might not like what you find on the other side because it could be so out of the realm of possibility that it's bloody scary to even think about. But one thing I can guarantee you is that whatever you find there will be more real than the goal you actually started with. Now look, I know what you're thinking. You're probably saying something like, oh, but Nathan, look, goals are important. You can't just tell people to forget about their goals. And look, I get it. You're right. Goals are important. It's important that I clarify that. Now, I do help my clients create goals and set goals. That's all part of the work. But only after we find out what they actually want. If you think I'm wrong about this, and look, maybe I am in some cases, challenge me. Let me know. Leave a comment below. Tell me where you think I'm off base, or if I'm just completely talking about my ass. I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers. But I do know this, that every client I've ever worked with has benefited significantly from digging deeper than their stated goal. Every single one. So remember those questions. What do you want? Or what do I want when you're saying them to yourself? What do I really want and what happens after that? What's next? And keep asking. If you're recognizing this in yourself, if you've been chasing that same goal for months or even years and something about it just doesn't feel quite right, that's your unconscious mind telling you something and you need to listen. This is the exact work that we do in coaching. getting underneath all the surface level stuff, the surface level goal, and what's actually keeping you stuck. One conversation can change everything. If you're ready to find out what you actually want, not what you think you should want, but what you actually want, then reach out for a conversation. The link is in the description below. Feel free to book a time. No pressure, no sales tactics, just a conversation. Because you might be chasing the wrong thing entirely. And the sooner you know that, the better. Thanks so much for watching the video. I appreciate it. Please feel free to share it around, leave a comment and like the video, and subscribe if you haven't, if you get value from my stuff. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.